A lot of the reasons I'm going to list for why I love LoL Esports so much in this video are definitely going to be similar reasons you could give for why regular sports are so great, but I think that's part of the beauty of it. Being able to experience competition between people so unbelievably good at something, going against someone just as good to prove that they are the very best, is one of the best spectator experiences you can have, in my opinion. And if you're a competitive person, you're going to know what I mean when I say that having an outlet for your competitiveness in your life is super necessary, whether you're actually involved or just watching other people compete. And having esports as an option for people like me who are never really drawn in by athletics, whether it be that you just don't find the sports interesting or you never played them so you can't self-insert or relate, is a really awesome thing to have. And I think on top of esports as a concept being amazing in general, League specifically is the perfect competitive game. That's definitely a controversial statement, but hear me out. The base idea and structure of the game and rank system is pretty flawless if you're thinking purely about competitiveness. You're able to match yourself up against someone playing the exact same role as you in laning phase, and your goal is to just straight up play better than them. And yeah, they might have a good matchup into you or you might be getting camped. But if you make minimal mistakes and play smarter than them, at the end of it you can say that you were that better player and you won because of it. And with the rank system, even if you do crush the laning phase and play everything right but you still end up losing because your bot lane giga ins, that isn't going to stop you in the long run. Because if you're consistently playing better than your opponents and doing what you need to do to carry and win, you will climb higher. And honestly, there aren't many better feelings than looking at your super high win rate in the past 20 or so games and seeing that you climb multiple divisions just because of your good play. And unless you're a pro player, there's always going to be plenty of room for improvement because of the fact that League is a strategy game first and a mechanical game second. Even if you've climbed and improved a ton in the past months, you can always improve your CSing or your matchup knowledge or your wave control and trading patterns. No matter how good you get, there's always something you can get even better at. And this competitiveness in your own experience playing the game definitely translates well into competitiveness watching LoL Esports. If you're watching to analyze the game so you can improve your own gameplay, it's a great resource for that. If you're watching for the storylines, like Double F winning 4 splits in a row with Team Liquid, only to have a huge slump split and go back over to his old team TSM, or maybe you're watching the Dark Horse first seed LPL team have a lackluster performance in the group stage and then they continue to dominate the rest of Worlds because of pure team coordination and ingenuity, it's a great resource for that. If you like watching it because you have that one team or player you adore and want nothing more than to see them succeed, it also has that. And if it's all the above, it is honestly one of the most amazing things to experience. On top of having all those great aspects coming just from the base competition yourself, you also get that extra fluff like world songs and teaser videos that hype it up even more. An argument you could give for why League Esports kind of falls short of being a great spectator sport is the fact that the top teams do tend to dominate for way too long, making it kind of difficult to stay invested unless you're a fan of one of those top teams. And while that's definitely true to a certain extent, big upsets and big matches definitely happen rather frequently, especially in the last 2 years. And when these upsets do happen, it's so much more satisfying with that build-up of the team that's been on the top for the past 2 years finally getting toppled. This also ties into how prevalent curses tend to be in League Esports, and the storylines that come from that are always super fascinating to watch unfold. Take Cloud9's second place curse for example. When they first qualified into LCS back in 2013, they had the most explosive and dominant performance seen almost ever at the time, winning 2 splits back-to-back with insanely good match records, garnering a huge amount of fans, and then they proceeded to constantly be the perpetual silver medalists, losing 5 of the next 9 finals. Then 2020 spring rolls around. They supposedly lose the offseason yet again, getting rid of their last original player Sneaky and their MVP jungler Svenskeren, only to proceed to have the most dominant split in LCS history, finally winning the whole thing with an overall game score of 32-2. You cannot look at that story and tell me that's not at least a little bit interesting. A lot of the stories that are created from tournament results and rivalries can often be way more interesting than any movie or TV show you'll ever watch. Also, the counterpoint of teams being way too dominant hasn't even really been true in the past 2 years. Before China won 2 years in a row, Korea was by far the best region, always getting first in group stages and having all the World Finals appearances except for one from 2013 to 2017, being Korea versus Korea. This dominance made international tournaments more of a question of who could get closest to beating the LCK, rather than a question of if they could actually win the whole thing or not. But you gotta admit that when you did get that 5-game series between 2 Korean teams, it was always some of the best League of Legends you'll have ever seen played. The best example of this is the 2016 semifinals between ROX and SKT, which is considered by a lot of people to be the greatest series of all time. With ROX picking that crazy Ashe Misfortune bot lane, smashing 2 games in a row, when one of them Prey made that crazy Ashe Arrow teleport play, and then right after getting put to match point by MF support, SKT subbed in their veteran jungler Bengi to play Nidalee, a champion he historically cannot play, and proceeded to win the next 2 games, getting them a spot in the World Finals, where Bengi and Faker would win their 3rd World Championship. This insane dominance from Korea made 2018 Worlds that much more exciting, where the defending world champion Gen G went 1-5 in group stage, losing their heavily expected quarterfinal spot to Cloud9, who was 10th place at the start of the summer split. And then the first seed from Korea and favorite to win that year, KT Rolster, would lose in the quarterfinals to the eventual champion Invictus Gaming. And at that point, you can't think it can get any crazier than Cloud9 3-0s the last Korean team of Africa, and gives NA their first semifinal since Season 1. Because of Korea's dominance and the status quo of Eastern dominance, I can definitely safely say that 2018 Worlds was one of the most exciting things I've ever watched pan out. And I think stuff like that is one of the main things that makes LoL Esports so interesting. So many power structures and expectations and storylines are set up, and you never really know when all of that is going to get completely flipped on its head to make way for a super exciting upset, creating another cool storyline. The exciting plays, the storylines, and interesting players and teams really make LoL Esports feel so goddamn awesome. Being able to watch a hype set of games or listening to a world song always gets you fired up to jump into solo queue and play some ranked yourself. And that is definitely something that sets it apart from other sports. You don't get to watch the Super Bowl and immediately go, God, now I want to play a competitive match of football with fully rounded out teams right now, and then actually go and do it. You can't say that isn't awesome. I could give a dozen more reasons why LoL Esports is so great, but these were just some of my favorites. I'm sorry if this video is all over the place. I honestly just wanted to get something out before I really started releasing the real stuff I'm planning on making for this channel. But like I said, this kind of shows you my perspective on League Esports and why I made this channel in the first place. Expect a lot more to come. I'm currently working on a pretty big project, but expect some smaller stuff before that. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.